And in my case, I've been an executive official now for the last 15 years. And none of these others can say that. The only one who's been an executive official was Dennis when he was mayor of Cleveland 40 years ago, and you know how that was. I think that is part of the strength here, is that I have a track record of actually getting things done. I have a vision that focuses on what matters to people because I've seen what matters to them in their lives. And I was around Ohio. I was working for consumers in Ohio, and everybody in this room while I was in that Washington job, not just people elsewhere in the United States. That's the track record I bring to this race, and that's the focus that I bring to this race, and that's the experience.
Well, first of all, my record as mayor of Cleveland included that I was able to cut government spending by 10% in my first year in office without reducing service. That's number one. Number two, I put my career on the line to save a municipal electric system under extraordinary pressure from the banks. On December 15th, 1978, I was given a choice: either sell Muni Light or the city goes into default. That was the choice I was given. Check your headlines on the days going into that and out of it. Now, with respect to the observation of Mr. Cordray, based on your record, sir, I don't know that you would have been the one who would have stood to defend an electric system, because the fact of the matter is that you deserted your post in the Consumer Finance Protection Board when you had 9 months left to serve, when people all over the country were waiting for the implementation of a payday loan rule. And today, what you've done exactly is hand over to the Trump administration the keys to the Consumer Finance Protection Board, with devastating effect for working class people in neighborhoods like where I live, and for poor people. There are 5 payday lenders who have cheated millions of people out of billions of dollars, and they're now running loose because Mr. Cordray deserted his post. So, look, I've been in the crucible, and I don't shy from the heat. But I also know that if we're going to compare things, let's make an honest comparison about what actually has happened. And we're in the middle right now of 5 different big payday lenders getting off the hook because somebody walked away from their position.
I can't let that pass, okay? No. First of all, to say you were in the crucible, you created the problems in Cleveland. The city did not have to go into financial default, and that was a black eye for Cleveland, has been ever since. So when you talk about how much money you saved, you cost the city of Cleveland dearly. They didn't get out of default for 8 years. Governor Voinovich also saved Muni Light, but he did it by restructuring the debt in a way that was constructive rather than the face down that you got yourself into because you couldn't figure out how to solve the problem. As for cutting government expenses, you laid off 400 police and fire because of mismanagement during your mayoralty. You had a 24-year-old finance director with less than a year's experience. That might explain part of why we went into financial default. The first major city since the Great Depression to be in that situation. So if that's courage, I would call it mismanagement. As for me, I finished that payday lending rule before I left. And I was late into this race because I felt bound and determined and conscientiously obligated to finish that rule and make it law of the land, which it is now. People may roll it back. Even if I had stayed a few more months, they still might have sought to roll it back. They probably would, because the payday industry is bound and determined. But when you were in the General Assembly, you voted for the initial law that created payday lending in Ohio. So now to talk about how you're going to defend us against payday lending and the 5 payday lenders that exploit people in your community, they never would have gotten started if you hadn't voted for that law in the first place. I stood up to banks like Wells Fargo and the most powerful financial interests in the country. So to say that I wouldn't do that, I did do it. And I put $12 billion back in people's pockets. And before that, when I was Attorney General, I took $2 billion back from Wall Street and got it for retirees and taxpayers in this state. So you can talk about who's standing up to powerful interests. I have done it. And I've done it in a constructive way, not in a way that put the city of Cleveland into a black eye situation for years and years and years.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with everybody today. I hope that I was able to earn this endorsement when you make the decision. You know, these guys are here, and You know, they've been running for office for over 100 years. They've done their thing. They're talking about the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I was born in 1979. And ever since I had the opportunity to help people and fight for people, I always have.
I am the only pro-life Democrat on the ballot, and that's 30%, folks. I'm going to be your next governor, and I welcome your endorsement.